Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Unscripted and Unchoreographed. I'm your host, Sarah, the dancer.
And Neve, the actor.
So, we're here tonight with Vitor Bassi. It's so great to have you on tonight, and we're going to get to know you and a little bit of your story. We'll jump straight in. Can you give us an insight in how you got started in the arts?
It was completely accidental. I was 18 years old. You don't know what you want to do for study and work. In Brazil, I don't know here in Ireland, but in Brazil it's very difficult because you don't have enough experience to work. They don't give you any opportunities. I was there hunting any kind of job. And then that friend of mine, we are friends since 1991. We studied together. He was unemployed as well, but he did one class or two classes of theater. His name is Anderson. There was a illness called cholera. We were in sixth grade. A teacher asked us to do assignment, but in different way, not in the academic way, but in dialogue, to perform to our classroom. Our teacher, she saw that and said, "Well, why not we do this for the whole school?" So we did for the whole school. We made the text about that illness. And years ahead, when we were in that phase, he went to do those two classes. And he said, "Hey man, there is that class, and don't you want to come see it?" And I went, never ever left. Actually, I came to Ireland because I tried to left my artistic career. So for once I left. This is another story. So I come accidentally because of that friend of mine. Here I am 25 years later.
You were in Brazil, and then you were coming here to get away from it.
Yeah,
And then obviously it found you again.
that's the turning point. I'm very, very grateful to Ireland. Ireland made me be a better human being and a better artist. Because all the things that Ireland could provide me over here, I couldn't have those things over there. If I didn't come to Ireland, of course I would grow up as a human being, as an artist, but in another way. And the way that Ireland taught me wasn't easy, was really difficult in some points, but taught me a lot. And I'm really, really grateful that person that I am, the artist that I am now. And I came here in 2018, try to run away from my artistic life, and no, I don't want this anymore. I'm gonna pursue another thing, and why not pursue abroad? Because for us South Americans, live abroad is a huge thing. It's completely different that as Europeans, because you have that habit. Oh, just go to Spain. It's easy to go to Spain. In Brazil, all the things are very difficult in very expensive way. So live abroad. And nowadays it's more common, but wasn't that common before. When I realized that I tried to live another life, I said, why not abroad? And I always had that thing about learn English. I always had that dream about watch a movie without subtitles and understand everything. And here I am.
I have to say your English is very, very good. And you're not the only one. We had another dancer on from Brazil. She has amazing English, came over here to study English and then fell in love with dance. Why Ireland? This is more curiosity.
I didn't know about Ireland. The short answer was the cheaper one by the time. By the time I was with my ex wife, and we searched for around the world where we could go and learn English. We searched for Australia, and other places, but I had to sell many things. She did the same to raise money and come here because it wasn't cheap. Was cheaper than the other places. She had that dream about Paris, so here would be nearby. It's a big thing to travel abroad. For me, it's not that much. My imagination goes in another way. For me, see a play and that play blows my mind. I like to travel as well, but I'm not that seeker. So we came here. We came to Ireland. I didn't know what I'm gonna do. A blank page. Let's see what's gonna come.
So you came here and you weren't thinking, I'm going to dance, I'm going to perform, not going to do anything like that. So how did you end up performing, dancing?
After 1 year doing my English courses, I just realized that I should come back to my artistic life. I was working many random places. I was completely, how can I do this? I don't know how to enter in the artistic environment in Ireland. I don't know how to connect with people because everything is about connection, everything is about network. December of 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, I started to do therapy because I was passing through many things, and I said, I really need a professional help now. After exactly 2 months, I was working with John Scott, and I didn't know who John Scott was. In the middle of pandemic, I was working a retail place, so I didn't stop to work those essential works. I was alone at home, was watching some videos in YouTube. I saw advertisement. In 15 minutes, is going to broadcast that piece. And I said, wow, 15 minutes. I'm here. I'm free. I'm going to watch this. The Irish Modern Dance and Theatre. When I started to do therapy, I was so lost in myself because I was already 2 years and a half over here in Ireland. In my old plan would be go to Spain and try my artistic life in there. When I start to do therapy, first of all, he said, you want to leave until you get to Spain because the art is so important to you, but your artistic life is just gonna start in there. So until you get there, what you gonna do? You won't leave? I always kept saying, I'm gonna text that I'm here. I know we are in the middle of the pandemic, but I saw a performance by you. One day, my therapist said, hey, you kept saying that. Why don't you, when we finish that section, you message them? So I just sent a message, said that I was available, that I was here already for 2 years and a half. Finally, I felt confident to talk in English. It was hard to speak. I could read well. She passed all the message to John Scott, and John Scott said, yeah, let's talk. And for me, it was like a talk. Let's talk, okay? I went to meet him in a rehearsal place. Oh, let's dance. I said, oh, dance? And I was wearing jeans. And I said, I wasn't prepared for it. And I said to him, well, can I take off my jeans and be underpants only because I can't move myself with those jeans? And no, it's fine, it's fine. So I kind of did audition for him. And he said, well, we're gonna work. So my first work with him was The Vicinity of the Sun with all the great artists over here. And that was my beginning.
And how did you find working with John Scott and the Irish Modern Theatre Group?
Very good. For me, was a really good experience. I did some works with him. Artists who work at least once knows what I'm talking about. He has that big heart and kind of embrace everybody, mainly the new ones that coming. I'm very grateful because I didn't know him. I didn't know that he was a big deal in Ireland. I have no clue. I just sent a message for the only company that over here that I was following up, and I said, "Oh, can I come?" And he said, "Yes, you can come." And actually, it was nice, kind of be naive. Was great to work with him. With the vicinity of the sun, one the things start to open a bit with many restrictions, measuring temperature with all masks. And the vicinity of the sun is a film that we recorded on streets, was the way that we could do something. And he was very open heart, very welcoming for me, because it was me, I think another four artists. Chris, Simone, Sibel, Oren, Sarah. I might forget someone. I hope not. And from there, people know me and they start to recommend me to other jobs, and opportunities start to coming.
You took a break from dance and performing. Did you find it difficult to get back into? And I know COVID was going on at that time as well. Was it something that maybe helped you through COVID?
Actually, being back was pretty easy and joyful because I wasn't there. But all the jobs that I was doing over here, I always doing something artistic, singing or tapping or playing something on the counter. I have a dance video that I did in the time that I was in the retail place. And I asked for permission to do it for my manager, and the owner allowed. So Yeah, I did a dance video. So I was living another life that I was really like, I need to come back. I need to come back. So when I came back, I came back alive.
What is your style, or what are your influence? What kind of things influence your movement language?
My main thing actually is acting because everything starts with acting. My very first year, I thought, well, I think to be a good actor, you have to dance, you have to sing, you have to play, you have to do all the things together, right? I entered the dance world, but dance world were easier to get opportunities of job. For a while, I kept both careers, but at some point, dance got me in a strong way. But that's the interesting thing as well that happened in my career. Most of the dance companies that I went to, they mixed things. So acting was always in my role. If need someone to act, hey Vitor, go. Mainly if need to interact with the audience. So I get very used to those things. For example, I love that intimacy with the audience, to be really close to them. When I start to dance, well, I did classical ballet, I did modern, I did jazz, I did contemporary. When I reached contemporary, I said, "Oh, that's my place," because I felt that contemporary dance, at least that time, 25 years ago, the style that was more similar to theater. I could see they try to tell you a story as theater does. I straight away I get to, oh, that's my place. That I really feel comfortable with because I can mix everything. And because of all those dance companies that I passed through, many of them mix completely different things. One that they mix capoeira with aikido and body percussion as well. So for me, the main thing is contemporary. Nowadays, I can tell this profoundly. Storyteller. That's what I am. If I need to construct a piece of dance, is to tell a story because there are many different kind of dances and many different ways to do dance, and we don't actually need to tell a story. But I do feel really grateful when I can get some audience by the story I'm telling, by my movements. I think I could reach that point over here in Ireland when I did the Ireland we dreamed of, because I had a solo over there. We can say it's a dance, but we can say it's a physical theater as well. No words, but say a lot. And I'm telling this not because, oh, what a magnificent I am, not because this, because the response of the audiences about this job. And I had the opportunity to do that solo because the director is a visual artist, and I said to her, I have that solo that I did in Brazil in a play there, and that is my craft. She saw that solo and said, I want this. We start to work towards that place. We start to add you, and then we start to link the dots.
When you go into a room, a studio, a space, and you're like, right, we're going to create this story, do you have set tasks or guidelines that you use all the time when you're creating your story, or does it change depending on what you're working on?
I need a story. If it doesn't have any story in the dance that I'm doing, I create a story behind just for my mind. That is my background because the story behind gonna bring me the movements. I got that solo, that last job, because the solo that I did in Brazil was a story about a slave, and the slavery time there, they were brought to Brazil by ships, and those ships used taking 3 months to get there. I read a book that talks about that. So they stay in the same spot, 1 meter squared, chained, consuming food there, all the necessities. If you consume something, some goes out in that same spot. So can you imagine that space that you can't leave and you have to pass all through those things? So my solo over there came about breathing out of breath because you feel so pressured because you can do a thing. Because if you do anything, you just going be killed, showing the open sea, and that's it. So all the things that I've done in that solo came for the breath. So when I have a story, I start for one point, and that point open other branches. Usually I don't do the movements by just the movements. I do the movements because of some reason behind.
Every movement has a reason for being there. It's not just movement for movement's sake. That jump looks pretty or that turn suits there.
Exactly.
Because everything has its place. There's pieces that are nice. That's a beautiful jump, and it's purely just about demonstrating the athleticism of that dancer, or maybe that dancer is an amazing turner. I've seen some amazing turners, but to have movement has a reason behind it. It's not just here because it looks pretty. I find it has a different weight to it as an audience member, depending on the piece, but it feels more grounded, more thought has been put into it because it's not just purely aesthetic. There's an emotion put in behind it.
But there is a that very value as well for the
Mm.
just
Oh yeah.
aesthetic thing. I'm just saying what my craft is and
Oh
what I
yeah, yeah.
really, really like to see. It's amazing. You see some dancers spinning, 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 no stop, no stop. So I really find any kind of art has their value because it's difficult. We find our own way. Can I acting this or can I sing more over here? Can I do more movement over here? We always want to fit in something, but more you're doing, more you have the experience, more life goes on, you just understand what really is your way to do things. And that's my way to do things because essentially I'm actor. And from these, other things happen. So I can sing, yes. I can dance, yes. I can play, yes. But everything here comes from that foundation about being actor.
Because you have that foundation in theater and acting, I know you said you start with a storyline. Where do you take your influences from? Like, other than movement, would there be like films or plays that you take inspiration from?
I think as artists, we should feed ourselves with any kind of artist form. Movies, series, plays, concerts, operas, literature, sculptures, drawings, everything. Because you never know when you're gonna use. Depends on the story, the work, the people reminds you a situation that you saw at the bus, for example. Oh, I saw that situation, and that situation can inspire you to do something. So for me, I don't have a specific way to be inspired, but I feed myself with many things. There is a famous actor in Brazil. He once said something about sometimes I just take buses and just see how people behaving. So he takes buses until the end of the line and come back and just watching people. I don't do exactly the same thing, but I notice everything around me. I try to cap everything that I can get. For example, walk on the streets looking my phone. I don't. I prefer looking people, see how they behave, how they walk on the streets. You find many things interesting there. And sometimes if you do this on stage, people will say, ah, you're stereotyping things. But sometimes not. It's just the reality of it. That it itself is a stereotype. Depends many things. Depends the work you are in, depends with people you are working with and work for, because every single job depends on the leader of that job. So many that depends on so many things, and depends of the study you do. For example, for me, that solo that I did there in the Ireland that we dreamed of, the article that she gave us to study was about the Madeline's laundries. And when we talk about Madeline's laundries, you go straight away to women. You don't talk about men. It's something that was horrible mainly for women, but there were many men. How was for them? And that article for me was a fundamental piece to feed myself to start to do something. So
Hmm.
depends of the job.
Do you have a favorite project you worked on, or you really enjoyed that process or working with those people? I know it's really hard, but is there one you preferred?
This this is really difficult to say because any job has their own any specific and unique thing, process or whatever it is. I moved back to Brazil for good last year. Now in Ireland for 2 months to work with Feet and Q Connected when the moon spun around. I love that piece. And I love that piece because the piece is really magical. It is for children, but it's not just for children. And I think all the pieces for children that don't think about just children is the really good ones. And that piece is one of those. It's really joyful to do it. I'm really glad to come back here in Ireland and do this piece. At least I think we're doing arts because of those things. That friend, he's a professional dancer, and he went to see it, and he said, "Hey, man, you just opened my mind to another thing, that another dimension that I couldn't even imagine I could be able to do it. Is the children's piece. Always thought, children's piece, and see you doing it, and you are there full on, and I can see the audience really in it to open another portal for me. So those kind of things that we hardly ever we know when we change a mind. Doing my job is not to make change people's mind. It's not that.
Yes, yes.
I don't think on this, when I'm create my job, I don't think on this. But when those things happen and someone come to you and give that feedback, it's just magical, because you see, I open mind of someone who is in arts already, and have no, I don't think that. And after seeing that piece, he said, "Oh, why not, man? It's incredible the things there. So why not being part of this? So it's a very specific thing, It's very, for example, the island that I'm dreaming of, and I'm saying a lot of the island we dreamed of because was my last one before I went back to Brazil. Was the last one, and because of that piece, I learned a lot about the Irish history. Actually was a combine of because I was in a palimpsest with Kush Kane that we learn a lot about the Irish history, and then I jump in that one that was like a perfect match between those two art forms, two pieces that taught me a lot about the Irish history and the Irish people. And for me, it was really nice to. That's the thing. Being artist, it's a privilege. Always you're gonna learn something, and that's amazing. I think I answered.
Everyone has struggled because everyone has different pieces. This one was my favorite because of that, but this one was also my favorite for a completely different reason. So it's very hard to pick out one.
Yeah, because for example, I could say the vicinity of the sun was because it was a turning point in my life, because it was my first opportunity over here that opened many other gates for me. So it's really important in my life. There is another piece that I did in Brazil that was the first time was just me and another two artists in on stage. And for me, I was young, like late 20s, and those guys were in their 40s. And I was replacing someone else in that piece. In that piece, you have to dance, sing, acting, play, body percussion as well. There's no way you can hide because it's just three. It's just you three, man. If you don't do your thing, you're gonna be seen. So it was really a turning point in my life because I learned a lot there. Dance with those two older dancers. All the talent and experience they had. Actually, one of them is the director of the company that I am in. in Brazil right now, because when I was there before I come here, I worked with them 9 years. Then I come here. When I came back, they said, "Hey, come back, man." It's still my director. He became a really personal friend.
I'm just going to go back to when the moon spun round real quick.
Mhm.
Because that is coming up in the Dublin Dance Festival. What is the piece about? When is it on? If people want to go and see it, where can they get tickets?
I get tickets. You have to rush because it's almost sold out. Actually, come from a book, and actually, I have that book over here. Just like there you go.
Oh, lovely. Oh, so the book is actually called The Moon Spun Around. Oh, it's by W.B. Yeats.
Exactly, and it's a beautiful book. It's many fairy
That's true.
tales, and there is all those drawings that inspired us as well. So we were inspired by this book. Actually, Chantel Cormack, that is a director from Fiji Feet. I think what was her that found that book. She was already in connect with Thomas Johnston, that is director of Q Connected, and we were talking about to do a piece together. A perfect match. Those two companies come together because Fiji Feet does dance and aerial. Aerial is the main thing from them. Q Connect is theater and music. It was a perfect combination. So we were inspired by that book. We made that piece in 2023 and we did a tour at the end of 2023. They went to Wales in January, February of 2024 last year, but I couldn't go because I was with Kush Game in a palimpsest. And this year we are doing touring right now. So that's it. We were inspired for this book. We were leading by those two wonderful people, Chantel McCormick and Thomas Johnston. He was the music director. The music of that piece, it's something else. And you can get those. You just can go in your music platform and just tap When the Moon Spin Round. All the music is there. And it's really grounded in the Irish traditional music. It's so beautiful. I would like to talk this a bit. And just a message for all the artists, all the people who are there and gonna see this later on. I think as artists have a foundation word called resilience, because a true artist is just that. Because it's so hard, our artistic life. We don't talk about how to be resilient. We don't talk about our mental health. Take care of your mental health over there. For me, was therapy. For many people, can be a book, meditation, but we really need professional help because it's really tough. It's not tough just for us, like we are talking over here, but for big people in Hollywood. I see an interview that, for example, Viola Davis saying how it's difficult and still difficult for her to get jobs because this, because that, because da, 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 da. Your mission in that life is being artist. I understand that. Uh, Actually, because I did the therapy and I found myself completely. I recognized myself with all my strengths and all my weaknesses, and I accepted that. And when we have this, and not because I did the therapy, I'm still don't be in struggle time to time. It's a project that you apply for a grant, you don't have it, you try again, you don't have it, and maybe it's not that place, maybe it's another place that you have to go. Artists, we know our issues that we passing through, and I really think I would like to give that advice. Take care of your mental health, because really gonna help you. That's it. At 25 years being artist, how many no's I heard and how many yes I heard, and what this making in your head. For me, make me try to give up. And I tried. Actually, I tried until I get back and oh, okay, I understood my what I have to do. But it's because when I try to do another thing, that I lost my faith. And I'm not talking a religion's way. The word itself and the meaning of you really truly believe in something that can't be breaked. So when I say faith in that way. If you're religious, doesn't matter. Nice as well. But I'm just saying the meaning of the word. And I lost my faith because this I tried to do something else and try to find something else. I just understood that I have to come back. My faith won't break again because I took care of this, and this make huge difference. For all the artists that are singing right now, doesn't matter which point in your life, in your career you are, always take care of your mental health because this is gonna help you a lot. You are what you are, and you have your place in the world. So just keep going. That's it.
That is really good advice. And I think it's something that is so important because it is so easy. You do hear so many no's, and it's a lot less than the yeses. But that does lead me on to my next question quite well. And there's probably a little bit of overlap here as well. But do you think there is anything the Irish government or the British government, not British, the Brazilian government can do to help artists more? And that can be in any aspect from rehearsal space to mental health. Anything that you feel.
I think in relation about government, the main way they can help us, it's about money. They can direct that money in different ways. I think there are just a few options, and some group is going to be out because of those. In Brazil, kind of the same over here. So you apply for a grant and you do your job, and there are some institutes that buy your work as well, but there is a few grants. For example, a company of 20 years. Many people think they don't need any support anymore because they are 20 years. They are already there, but it doesn't work that way. Our main sponsor is the government. Same over here in Ireland. A person who starts right now and a person that has 25 years of experience can apply for the same grant. I'm not putting a young artist has less value than the old artist. No, it's not that. It will be a different grant for both of those categories. For new artists and for the older ones. If you can spread more the money, you could give more opportunities for many kind of artists. But it's not divide what you have already. It's make more for other kind, and you can split up. For example, bursary for just young artists and a bursary for mid and old artists. That's the kind of thing I think the government could help us better. The people who make the rules for those grants, we can put all those things as well. For example, if I'm gonna do dance, it's super physical. I have to put a physiotherapist there. I have to because it's too physical. Professional dancers are high athletes, but there are a huge difference in between those two because professional athletes, they have all those backgrounds about take care of your body. I'm talking about physiotherapists, for example. But the dance just treat us as artists and not a high level athletes. So we don't have that background to have a physical therapist there or a mental one to have there, because you have those things in that category, you have in that you don't. Because the way the art itself thinks, is a worldly problem. Well, big known companies have physiotherapists there. So how we can add those things all together? So I think those things could help us to get a longer artistic life in dance.
No, that is so true, because you put your body under so much stress and strain, and it goes through so much, and to not have that recovery and to not have that knowledge sitting there. Thank you so much, Vitor, for coming on and chatting to us tonight. It's been absolutely brilliant having you on, getting your insight and what you've been up to and how you found yourself here in Ireland. It's been wonderful chatting to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me. A really pleasure to share about a bit about my craft, my knowledge, and really happy that you having me over here. Thank you.
And for anyone else who would like to catch When the Moon Spun Round, it is on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the 22nd, 3rd, and 24th of May. And it is in the Samuel Beckett Theatre. So that's where you can catch that. And tickets are available on the Dublin Dance Festival website.